Welcome back to the Informed Voter Series. I'm here with Charlie Rose, incumbent for the 7th District.
Yes.
Would you introduce yourself to the viewing?
Charlie Rose. I'm running for my third term for the 7th District of the Bradley County School Board. Just a little bit of information is I have 3 children. They all graduated from Bradley Central High School. I have 4 grandchildren, and I'm blessed that they all live in Cleveland.
Well, tell us a
I
little bit
also
about.
have a wife. I have a wife, Jane Rose, and we will be celebrating our 49th anniversary in September.
Oh, that's incredible. Wonderful. Tell us a little about your education and background.
Well, I am the first child of 6 in my family to attend college. After I attended, there was a couple more, maybe 3 more that attended and got a degree. I earned my bachelor's degree at Lee University and got my master's degree from UTC. And I was in counseling. So I have about 40 years in Tennessee education, 39 plus. Now it's 40 something if you count my board experience. About 48 years connected to Bradley County Schools.
Wow. Wow. Well, tell us why you've offered yourself as a candidate.
I think I have the personality, the integrity, and the willingness to make hard decisions and to put in the time to be a good board member to move Bradley County Schools forward. We are at a place in education where change occurs every day. It's just a continual change in education. And it's very difficult for a board, unless they stay right on top of things, unless they work together, unless they have a good relations with the director and with the employees of Bradley County Schools. It's very difficult to move forward and to sustain that progress.
Now, some people may not know what encompasses the 7th District.
Okay, just quickly, the 7th District, and it's kind of unusual, okay, but let's start at Key Street and Stewart Road, where Paul Huff changes it into Stewart. And if you'll go up to a strip mall up there on the right, and you cut through that strip mall, it's I can't think of the name of the strip mall right now, but there's a mattress firm there and some other things. You go back to Hiwassee. Mm-hmm. And then you go down Hiwassee, you get down there a little ways, maybe to Pryor, and cut across and go to Savannah and go back out to North Ocoee. Then you turn left, you go to Sunset and turn right and go down to Key Street. Then you take Key Street left and go all the way down to the racetrack, pretty much, where the old racetrack used to be on South Lee Highway, mm-hmm. and come back up the creek. And the creek pretty much divides the rest of the property, or the rest of the district for me. 7th District comes on back up to about where Paul Huff tees off into Georgetown, and you go down Paul Huff to Stewart. There is one little section that is across Paul Huff, and that is Benjamin Crest. That's in my district. And there's also one small section, and I used to live there years ago, down behind the Westwood Baptist Church. And they pulled some of that into my district out of the 1st District just recently. Mm-hmm. So that encompasses my district.
Now you're running against, or Jerry Frazier is challenging you this year.
Yes.
And distinguish yourself a little from Mr. Frazier.
Well, I would say that most of my career has been right in Bradley County. All my education, I served in Bradley County with the exception of one year, and I taught in Sevier County back in 1968, 69. And but the rest of the time has been here. When I retired in 2005, I worked a couple contracts with Bradley County, and then I decided to run for office as a board member, and I was fortunate to win. And since then, I've served 2 terms. The biggest thing is I have been involved in Bradley County and Bradley County schools for 40-something years. My children all went to school there and graduated, and that's one thing I would say. I don't think you can overemphasize the importance of being on a board and responding and playing the board's role that I have experienced. I would say the biggest thing, as far as I'm concerned, the game changer in education in the state of Tennessee was when they went from an elected superintendent to an appointed superintendent. And when they did that, then the director of schools now, or superintendent, responds and answers to the board. And it's necessary for us to bridge what is going on in the school system to the public. It's 2 different worlds. I worked in education. Day to day, every day, there were things that I did. And when you get on the board, you must realize your responsibility to the public. And you must realize that you are the connector. And you have to communicate with the public. And I think our school board has been moving in that direction for the last several years. We have done things to communicate with the public, such as we video our board meetings. We show them on our website, Bradley County School website, where people can review those things. We passed a policy, and this may sound strange, but we passed a policy since I've been on the board with the help of the other board members that now allows the public to address the school board. It was necessary for us to do that so people can tell us their feelings, and they can address the school board on any agenda item at every board meeting. If they sign up beforehand and they have 3 to 5 minutes to speak to us on one issue. Now, before, they did not get to address the board. And we've also tried to communicate with the community and with the taxpayers in Bradley County. We had an open forum recently dealing with social studies and teaching Bible, religion, I should say, in the schools, Bradley County schools. We wanted input from the public to give us direction and to give us an idea of what they expected. Our board should reflect Bradley County community. It should reflect our values, the Bradley County community values. And this board is committed to doing that, and I am committed to doing that.
What do you think at the local board level, and these being curriculum issues, what do you think at the local board level you can do to affect those curriculum issues?
Well, we can make decisions on, for example, we can make it very clear. I wrote a resolution that made it very clear in reference to teaching religion in Bradley County schools that we wanted our values put forward. And we did not want any indoctrination of any specific faith or religion. It is only to be taught in the historical context. And about the same time that we were doing that in Bradley County, the state legislature was also doing those things, and they are pretty much in line with each other. And I'm thankful for the opportunity that I have to be in a position where I can support local community values and support what our community wants taught in our schools. Now, there are directives that are given by the state that we have to follow, but we can do that and still reflect our values in Bradley County schools.
Funding for education is always a hot topic issue, and we spoke a little bit about it before we went on the air today. Tell us a little bit about how we can enhance the funding for our public schools without creating a strain on the community.
Well, when you speak of the BEP, that is state, and it's strictly a funding formula. It doesn't tell us how to spend the funds. It's strictly a funding formula. So what has happened? The state has a tendency, along with the federal government, has a tendency to unfund mandates. And they will require us to do certain things, but they don't give us the funding to do that. Well, when they do that, even though the funding formula says you have so much money for instruction, you have so much money for building, and you have so much money for these things, but that's what the funding formula says. But for us to meet these demands, these unfunded mandates, it's necessary for us to go in to the construction part of the funding so we can hire teachers for response to intervention, which is a program that they told us we had to do, the state did, but they didn't fund any of it. Mm-hmm. And so we had to make arrangements in our budget. And anything we did to meet that mandate, we had to take it from other parts of the budget so we could fund it. So we end up many times with less instructional funds and less constructional funds to construct, to build, to do those things. But Bradley County has chosen to invest a lot in our personnel, and that's, the teachers. And that's where the rubber meets the road every day. And you have to have the very best you can have, the very best you can put out there to teach your children. I would say that this last year, the state legislature put a lot of funding into education, additional monies, millions of dollars. But the funding was not distributed equally between systems. It had to do with where your pay scale was. So the state has a bottom rung pay scale. If any systems in the state were not paying their teachers on that bottom rung, they got enough money to bring that up to the state bottom rung. Bradley County has chosen, and rightfully so, to pay all along, to pay and give raises to teachers all along, so they would have raises, so we can be competitive with other systems, and we could get some of the good teachers, the best teachers we could get. So there was I don't want to say discrepancy, but it was a funding thing that looked like Bradley County got a lot more money than we really did.
Yes, sir.
And so we're having to deal with that, and we had to give teachers a raise this year, and we had to do it a little bit differently than we had done in the past.
Mr. Rose, before we say goodbye, is there, if people wanted to come find out more about you as a candidate, do you have a source for that information?
Yes, I will have a website going up. I haven't done that yet, but I will do that soon. And it will be at CW21028 at bellsouth.net. Okay. And I also have a phone number, 423-595-2467. That's my cell phone, and I'll try to answer it every time I can. If I don't answer it, I'll try to get back to you.
Mr. Rose, thank you for coming and speaking us today and informing the voters of yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.